Hello and welcome to another edition of Right on Rangers Live. Let's talk about this one. The Rangers fall to the Detroit Tigers 2-1. Tough luck loss, I would say, especially for the pitching staff, no doubt, after a brilliant performance from Nate Eovaldi and also from the bullpen for the most part. Obviously, Jose Leclerc gives up an untimely home run. Hard for me to blame the bullpen in a night where the offense only scores one run. But we're going to get to all that here in just a little bit. But first, here right on Rangers, for anybody that's new watching this for the first time, we cover pretty much everything sports, but we put a little bit of an extra emphasis on all the teams that we love from the great state of Texas, including the Rangers and especially the Rangers during baseball season. Thank you and welcome to the show. Appreciate you. So let's go ahead and let's start breaking this one down. So a couple of different things stand out to me. First of all, got to talk about Nate Eovaldi in this one. Nate Eovaldi, second start coming off of the injured list. And I think it is fair to say that he outdueled Tarik Skubal in this one. Allowed only 3 base runners. Skubal allowed 9. Skubal went one more out than Eovaldi did, but Eovaldi outdueled Skubal tonight, and Skubal is early Cy Young candidate. ERA is sitting at about 197 right now. So Evo looked every bit like the ace that we all know and love. And so I really feel like this was such a wasted opportunity, taking advantage, or I should say not taking advantage, of just a brilliant start by Evo. So again, the stat line for Evo, second start after coming off of the injured list, 5 2/3, 3 hits, no walks, 1 earned run. And of course, that came off of the long ball. Rogers, the catcher, just something about these catchers, y'all. Something about the catchers on the other team. We got Langoliers for Oakland, and we've got Rogers for Detroit. It's just crazy. Really wild how these no-name catchers, I know Langoliers has had some good moments, but largely unknown catchers keep having the absolute best games of their life against us. It's crazy. So Evo gives up the 1 home run. ERA, by the way, for Evo is down to 270 on the year. Pretty good stuff from him. Really disappointed the Rangers wasted this kind of gem from Nate Eovaldi. And as we look down the rest of the pitching box score, a lot of people are going to gravitate towards Leclerc. Let's get a couple of things straight. First of all, Leclerc was being asked to pitch multiple innings tonight. And Leclerc had 3 strikeouts and was really dealing up until that point where he faced Rogers. I know a lot of people, a lot of Rangers fans are going to be harping on Leclerc. I get it to an extent. You can't center cut a pitch to anybody in Major League Baseball. And unfortunately, Leclerc throws a cutter right down the middle. I think it was a 1-1 count, if I'm not mistaken. I'll check it out while we're talking right now. But you just can't do that. You can't center cut pitches to anybody in this league and expect it to go well. So Rogers on a 1-1 count hits a home run. Pretty much was a no-doubter for me off the bat. And that's the ball game. It's unfortunate. That's what it comes down to. And that is what most people are going to gravitate towards because a lot of Rangers fans don't like Leclerc. I'm not one of them. No, I don't love that he is continually in these moments, but you have to look at the perspective here. He had pitched over 2 innings up to that point. Up to that point, had pitched over 2 innings already. And if Leclerc doesn't go out for that 8th inning, then he probably has a pretty nice looking stat line at the end of this. So keep in mind, keep the perspective. Leclerc is going more than an inning here. He pitched 2 1/3 innings. He was able to bounce back after the home run and get the strikeout to end the 8th. So 2 1/3 for Leclerc. He gives up 1 hit, and that was the home run. Otherwise, it was a completely spotless appearance from him. It's unfortunate that the home run had to mar what would have been a really quality outing for Leclerc. So I know a lot of people are going to gravitate towards that, but let's be real. The offense scored 1 run. And there were plenty of opportunities for the offense to tack on and score more than 1 run. So you're not going to win a lot of ball games when you're only plating 1. So it's hard for me to get on Leclerc, get on his unclutchness, or whatever you want to call it. It shouldn't be a situation where only one run is being scored. And look, I know a lot of people are going to say, Skubal, great pitcher. He's so awesome. The Rangers had opportunities tonight. They had opportunities tonight. We have to be real about that. They wasted opportunities against Skubal. Against Skubal, the Rangers have gotten plenty of base runners, both in the start that he had against us in Detroit earlier in the year. We had 9 base runners off Skubal tonight. That is outstanding off of a pitcher that supposedly is a Cy Young candidate. And I'm not saying that. I know it sounds disrespectful when I say it, but my point is he was hittable tonight. He wasn't unhittable, filthy, just like going off. He wasn't on one tonight. Skubal gave up 9 base runners, and the Rangers just could not take advantage. 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. We had 7 opportunities tonight where we could have scored a base runner. Skubal was giving up base runners all game long. Particularly, I think about the 6th inning. Runners on first and second, nobody out. This sound familiar? Because I know some of y'all that have been with me are about to hear something very, very familiar. One of my biggest pet peeves in the game of baseball is situational hitting and when teams cannot do it well. And the Rangers still need to get better at this, because when you have runners on first and second with the bottom of the order coming up and nobody out, and you fail to even advance the runner to third base, that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So, bottom of the 6th, let's kind of recap the entire situation. Doley singles to lead off. Jonah Heim walks. You've got runners on first and second. It's a tie ball game, and you've got Wyatt Langford coming up with an opportunity to, at minimum, move base runners over, maximum drive them all in and go up 3-1. And Wyatt Langford had a nice game, I believe, up until that point. I think he had a couple of hits. So look, going to be careful here because I don't want to blame Langford completely for this at all. He had a multi-hit game, by all means. A pretty solid outing from him, I would say. But Langford's at bat against Skubal in the bottom of the 6th inning with nobody out and runners on first and second was a huge moment in the game. Wyatt Langford, I believe, fouled off a couple of pitches, but was looking at so many strikes. So called strike 3 was a changeup right down the middle. He actually should have been, I believe, called for a strike in another one of these. I'm just looking at the zone real quick, and the umpire today was a little all over the place. I know that I'm probably going to get some of that. I know the umpiring was not great behind the dish tonight. That's every night. And the Rangers did benefit and get some calls, no doubt. The Rangers benefited from multiple bad calls themselves, although they did have some pretty bad calls. I think about that Leote low strike that was called. Leote was about to lead off the inning with the walk and turn the lineup over to Seager, and Semien gets called out, strike 3 on a terribly low pitch. So look, I know that the umpiring was not great, but Wyatt Langford in the bottom of the 6th inning getting called out looking on a pitch that's right down the middle, a changeup up. Right? That's not where you want a changeup, by the way. So that's why I say Skubal tonight was not dominant. Skubal was gettable tonight. I mean, he's throwing a chest-high changeup to Wyatt Langford on a 3-2 count, and Langford just freezes and lets it go by. And so that is where it all starts going wrong. Langford strikes out. You don't get any kind of productive out there in the bottom of the 6th. Josh Smith had a very bad at bat as well, and he was 0 for 4 tonight with 2 strikeouts. So an off night for Josh Smith. He's had such a good run. We're not going to be doing a lot of criticism or critiquing on Josh Smith, but that at bat that he had, another situation where you just let too many strikes go by. So strike number 2 was a fastball pretty much right down the middle. And then strike 3 was a fastball kind of middle out. So both of those at bats to have 2 strikeouts after runners on first and second, 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th Really, really big opportunity for the Rangers. And then, of course, Duran comes up, grounds out to the first baseman, and that's all she wrote. That was a huge moment in the game. The Rangers were 0 for 7 tonight with runners in scoring position. So I know it's easy to blame Leclerc, but let's blame the Rangers offense first and foremost. You're not going to win many games. You might get lucky on a night when your starting pitcher is going all 9 and throwing a complete game shutout. But most nights, you're not going to win a lot of ball games scoring 1 run and going 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. So for me in that moment, I don't know. I know that in the past I've suggested small ball more frequently for the Rangers. Wyatt Langford had a good night up to that point. So I can understand the reasoning not to play small ball with runners on first and second at home with nobody out and let Wyatt swing away. I do personally, just my philosophy, my style. I would prefer when the offense is clearly struggling against a good pitcher and you've got a runner with speed, make the pitcher, make the defense field the ball and deal with Wyatt Langford's speed. I think a bunt there might have been the answer. I don't think that Wyatt Langford had a bad night up to that point. So I know that that's why they let him swing away. But on a night when you know runs are at a premium, I would have liked to have seen the Rangers put some pressure on the defense. If you bunt there, yeah, it's true. You don't have the most talented hitters coming up next. Josh Schmidt, though, arguably, I think a great hitter to have up with runners on second and third. You have Leote coming up next. Leote has done well against left-handed pitchers in his career. And then you've got Semien, if any of those guys manage to get on via a base hit or a walk, whatever the case may be. So I don't know what the thought process was completely. If I had to guess, it was probably Wyatt's having a good night at the dish. We're going to go ahead and let him swing away and play for the big inning here. That being said, it's the 6th inning and you've only scored 1 run. I would have at least liked to have seen us put the ball in play, but I would like to see this Rangers team bump more and use their speed. Play small ball, especially in the late innings when you're up against a pitcher that is not was not particularly dealing tonight, in my opinion, but has had Cy Young type stuff this season. Skubal is a great pitcher. He's putting up great numbers. Runs were going to be at a premium tonight. And I think the Rangers missed an opportunity to put pressure on the defense and hopefully would have maybe manufactured a run there and gone up 2-1. That would have been ideal. You never know what can happen when you put the ball in play. I mean, that's baseball 101. I'm not saying anything profound or crazy new here, but when you put the ball in play, good things generally happen, especially when you have speed like Wyatt Langford does. So look, rookie mistake, we'll call it. You got to put the ball in play in that situation. For Wyatt Langford, a ground ball right side. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be not impossible, but going to be tough to turn a double play on Wyatt Langford with his speed. So all you're thinking in that moment is ground ball right side. Good things will happen. You just put that ball in play. You're either shooting that for a line drive opposite field, or maybe you're finding a hole and you're getting an RBI in that spot. But you got to put the ball in play. Mentality has to be ground ball right side up there for a bottom of the order hitter, right? Not everybody in your lineup needs to go up there trying to hit a home run every time, trying to hit an extra base hit every time. Just situationally hit. Do the little things that keep the game moving in a positive direction for your team. And in that moment, you needed the ball in play to advance the runners. Bottom of the 6th, first and second, nobody out. Big opportunity missed for the Rangers in that spot. Now let's take a look at the box score, and I want to go through just a few different notables here. I think it's a really rare night where Semien and Seager go multi-hit and you lose. Semien goes 2 for 3 with a walk. Seager had come into this game hitting Skubal very well. He was 4 for 6 in his career off Skubal. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he improved that. Did he get 1 or 2 hits off of Skubal? Looks like bottom of the first ground out, bottom of the third single, and then we had bottom of the 5th single. So Seager is now 6 for 8, hitting 750 in his career off Tarik Skubal. So Seager is absolutely doing his part tonight. Semien did his part, 700th RBI for him. And Seager, of course, extends the on-base streak to 26 games and the hitting streak to 16 games. So Seager doing his part, Semien doing his part. Rare that you get those guys getting on base 5 combined times and not winning. But here's one thing that we kind of need to address. And we did give Robbie Grossman his flowers and we gave him his props. Robbie, of course, coming into this game, the last 2 games against the Marlins had 3 RBI total. So hard to get on him. But I will say this, Robbie's hitting 198 on the year, and Robbie Grossman is your 3-hole hitter. That's not ideal. Robbie Grossman is not an ideal 3-hole hitter. As much as we love Robbie, as much as it feels good that he's back with the club, he's not a 3-hole hitter. And we need to address that in some way, shape, or form. Josh Young is probably going to be the solution there, probably going to be what the Rangers end up going with. I'd love to see them add another bat personally, but I will say I think it's going to be Josh Young. Hurry up and get back from your injury and take over the 3 spot against lefties. I think that's going to have to be what it is at this point, unless the Rangers are going to go out and acquire a bat. That obviously would help out a lot. I still think even if Josh Young comes back healthy, get a right-handed bat. Get a right-handed bat. There are some guys out there that I think would be worth acquiring at this point that are on some teams that aren't going anywhere. I'm sure the trading block is going to start heating up here as we get into the summer, as we get into June and July. I'm sure that it will. But I would like to see the Rangers not put all their eggs in the Josh Young basket. If he comes back and struggles, you're in the same kind of conundrum. And I do think that Josh Young is going to come back and have a nice season. I really do feel confident about that. That being said, you never know, especially when a guy has a long layoff from an injury. So I will say, I'd like the Rangers to be proactive, add another bat to the lineup. A right-handed bat would be phenomenal. So you can take care of that problem against lefties. And hopefully it's a guy with a little bit of pop, maybe a guy that against righties could potentially be in that 3 spot. I think the Rangers have banked up to this point on the rookies being more, I don't want to say power hitters, but they've counted on the rookies being able to produce and contribute and drive in runs, right? Evan Carter was supposed to be your 3-hole hitter coming into this year. Wyatt Langford was supposed to be a top of the order kind of guy. When I say top of the order, I mean top 5, right? Maybe top 6. So that hasn't panned out. The Rangers gambled that those guys would continue to produce, and it hasn't happened up to this point. So I think the Rangers need to add somebody. Wyatt Langford, multi-hit games, they're nice to see. I hope that he can find his power stroke and the extra base hits can start coming, including the home runs, because I think that's when we're going to know that Wyatt Langford is truly in his groove, in his element, at the place he needs to be. Wyatt Langford is not a singles hitter. Wyatt Langford is a guy that has raw power that should be driving the baseball. I'm looking forward to seeing that come out at some point this year, hopefully sooner rather than later. But the Rangers made a gamble at the beginning of the year on these rookies. It hasn't panned out. I hope that they add somebody at the deadline. That is my sincere hope. Now, as we go down the rest of the lineup here, we had Doley 1 for 4 tonight, and looks like the only extra base hit was Langford and Duran. Langford, of course, had the triple. So good to see him driving the ball, getting the extra base hits. Duran had the double in the 9th inning. Man, it sure would have been nice if Leote could have came up in that spot, delivered a game-tying hit or a home run. I was really hoping for positive things from him. It didn't happen. And this has always kind of been my thing with some of these hitters is it's so hard to be clutch in these big moments. It's easy when you're up by 4 or 5 to get a base hit and to have a good at bat. It's easy when you're down by 10 runs to just go up to the plate and kind of just not be bogged down by any kind of mental blocks or pressure. But when you're in these moments where the game's on the line, you really do start to see some true colors. Leote did not have a good at bat in that last out of the game, swung at 2 very terrible changeups that were not even close. And it was not a great moment for Leote. In that moment, you want to see him be patient. You want to see him take some pitches and wait for the one that he really wants to see there. And Leote went up there kind of free swinging, not very patient, not having a good eye. It's tough in those moments. Those are the most pressureful, the hardest moments, I think, to hit. That's why what Corey Seager does is so incredible with how clutch he is in the biggest of moments in a baseball game. But the moment I think in that spot was a little too big for Leote. He went up there not really with a great approach, and it showed in the first two pitches, swinging at absolute crap. I mean, those pitches, as you go back and look at them in the at bat, that's what I call it. I think it's just the MLB app at this point, but when you go back and look at the strike zone and all the pitches, the first two pitches he swung at, pretty much same exact pitch, change up, low and away, and both times badly fooled. Would have liked to have seen a better at bat from Leote there. Duran, credit to him for getting a double with the game on the line, 2 outs. Right, it would have been exciting to see Leote come through there with a single or anything else. I'm sure Duran with his speed scores, but it was not meant to be. And beyond that, I don't think there's a whole lot else notable. Jonah Heim is having a little bit of a tough time right now. I thought he had some pretty decent numbers coming into this game against Skubal. But right now, Jonah Heim in his last 15 games, this is pretty ugly. Jonah Heim last 15 games is hitting 135. So in his last 52 at-bats, Jonah Heim is hitting 135, 7 hits and 52 at-bats. In his last 7 games, he's hitting 120, 3 for his last 25. Jonah Heim is slumping big time right now, big time. So we need Jonah Heim. He doesn't have to be a 300 hitter, but we need him to hit 250. We cannot have Jonah Heim, our all-star catcher, hitting 120 over his last 7 games. So I really am going to lock in on Jonah over the next few games. I want to see him hit better, have better at bats, start driving the ball again. It's been a rough stretch for Jonah Heim. And Jonah Heim is a guy that the Rangers have had hitting in the middle of the order. And when your middle of the order guys are hitting 120 or hitting 135 over their last 50 at bats, that's just not going to go well. It's just not a recipe for success. So I'll be keeping my eye on Jonah. I hope to see him turn things around. Now, let me go ahead and take a minute here, get to the comments, take a little break here. Thank you so much, by the way, for everybody that's tuning in on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, wherever you're at. I appreciate you. So the comment here from Natalie, what's up, by the way? It's Langford has only had close to 150 plate appearances. He's still figuring the major leagues out. He's been better since coming back. I think I agree with that. I've seen multiple multi-hit games out of Wyatt Langford. He had the triple tonight. That was good to see. So I do agree. Since coming back from injury, Wyatt Langford does appear to have found something. So like I said, today in the bottom of the 6th, runners on first and second, nobody out. Langford had been having a good game up to that point. I understand letting him swing away. But Langford, to me, just needs to consistently drive the ball, get those extra base hits. We're still waiting on that power stroke to come. I think that's when we know that he is fully in stride. But you're right. We got to be patient. Look, Wyatt Langford, and we're not saying this to dog on or disrespect Evan Carter. Wyatt Langford is having a much better year than Evan Carter is up to this point. The strikeout in that first and second nobody out situation was not good. But Wyatt Langford, 2 hits tonight. Hard to get on him. Really, really hard to get on Langford. Multi-hit night along with Semien and Seager. Hopefully there's more of those to come for Wyatt Langford. If he's able to become that right-handed bat that is solid against lefties, that is going to be super, super ideal and helpful for this team. So I do hope that Wyatt Langford has found a little bit of something here after coming back from a hamstring injury. We'll see what ends up happening. But as we think about this game as a whole, kind of trying to wrap this one up, and then we'll move into the preview for tomorrow's game. Another example where your pitching staff is giving you an opportunity to win the game. Even though Leclerc gives up the home run, it's frustrating. The offense was given every opportunity to win this game, and it just wasn't meant to be. More of the same. I think we're used to the Rangers scoring these 1-2 run games. Rangers have gotten lucky occasionally when they've scored this few runs because they've just gotten a masterful pitching performance. Kind of felt like maybe this would be a night with Evo going as he was. Of course, Evo only threw 71 pitches tonight. So clearly they're still kind of easing him back, right? They're not looking to overextend him. You figure if Evo were to come in to that 7th inning, or if he was allowed to finish out the 6th inning, you figure he probably goes 7 or 8 tonight if fully healthy, right? Evo's probably going 7 or 8 tonight, and that changes things dramatically. I don't think that Evo probably was going to be giving up any more runs. I know he gave up the home run to Rogers, the Tigers catcher, but I don't think that Evo at full health probably gives up any more runs. It's baseball. It's hard to say, right? But Evo only 71 pitches tonight, so clearly they're still working him back. Would have been interesting to see if he was at full health, what he would have been able to do. Maybe it changes things with Leclerc. Leclerc's only got to pitch 1 inning versus having to go 2+ like he did tonight. But it's neither here nor there. The Rangers lose this one 2-1. It's a game that they could have, probably should have won, but it's a 3-game series. They dropped the first game to the Marlins. Let's keep the perspective here. The Rangers have won 5 of their last 7 games. So still on a positive streak here, in my opinion. And I think that the Rangers still have an opportunity to do some good things against the Tigers in this series. Let's go ahead, though, and let's take a look at the matchup for tomorrow, preview it for you, and then we'll do a little AL West roundup. So right now, we've got, looks like, one sec here, slow computer. So tomorrow's matchup is going to be Jack Flaherty, who's pitched pretty well of late, right-handed pitcher in his last 7 games, 2.91 ERA, and he has 60 strikeouts and 43 innings pitched. So Jack Flaherty on a little bit of a roll right now in his last 7 starts. So that could potentially be an interesting matchup for the Rangers bats. We'll have to see what the career numbers are like, and we're going to do that right now. And then the Rangers on our side, we are going to be throwing Dane Dunning tomorrow, who I think in his last start did just fine. I know Dane Dunning, like Evo, still recovering from an injury, right? He had the shoulder, rotator cuff, whatever it was. But in his last start, Dunning went 5 innings, no earned runs. He did walk 4, so that's a little bit concerning, right? So hopefully he can limit the walks against the Tigers. But Dunning ultimately gives up no earned runs in a 5-inning outing against the Diamondbacks last week. So hopefully more of the same from Dane Dunning. Now we look at the career numbers here. So on the Tigers side against Dunning, you have a few guys that have some decent numbers. McKinstry, the shortstop, is hitting .455 in 11 at-bats. And you've also got the second baseman, Keith, 1 for 2. And beyond that, Dane Dunning actually has pretty filthy numbers in a good way against the Tigers. So Baez is, I believe, 1 for 11, or maybe 2 for 11. Canna, 0 for 3. Green, 0 for 2. Baddoo, 1 for 8. We've got Rogers, 0 for 5. There we go. Hopefully Dane Dunning can shut down the mighty Rogers, the Detroit Tigers catcher that went yard twice tonight. And then Urshela is 0 for 1. So Dane Dunning, pretty good numbers against Detroit. Hopefully that plays well. And then on the other side, against Flaherty, the Rangers have a few guys that have actually fared quite well. Robbie Grossman is 3 for 7, actually 4 for 7, 3 for 7, sorry about that, with a home run against Flaherty. Don't know if we're going to see Robbie tomorrow. Typically right-handed starters, Robbie's on the bench. Maybe they'll see those numbers and think about it, but I don't think so. I think Robbie probably going to be coming off the bench, if at all, tomorrow. Beyond that, we've got not a whole lot of other stats. Seager, 0 for 8 off Flaherty. Semien looks like 1 for 6 with a home run. Josh Smith, 0 for 3. So this could potentially be a pitcher's duel tomorrow. Could potentially be a pitcher's duel with how these numbers are looking. We'll see if Semien and Seager can stay hot. That would be very ideal, as I like to say. But looks like based on these career numbers, we could have a little bit of a low scoring affair. By the way, looks like we've got a 7:05 Texas time start. That'll be 5 o'clock my time here in Vegas. So same time. And then Wednesday's game, see if they announced a starter for Wednesday. Looks like we are going to be facing Kenta Maeda. And I think there's some talks that maybe Johnny Cueto makes a start. I think I saw a little bit of buzz about that on social media during the game. So Rangers have not announced a starter for Wednesday's game. That is a Wednesday night game. So even though it's the last day of the series, Rangers have an off day on Thursday. So night game Wednesday night to close out the series. Rangers still have an opportunity, y'all. Still got an opportunity here to take this series. They've won 5 of their last 7. Let's look at the positives and focus on those tonight. That's what I'm going to choose to do. So around the AL West, let's take a look here. We've got a few other matchups. The Astros looks like beat the Cardinals in Houston 7-4. That's unfortunate. We've got the Angels beating the Padres 2-1. And I think beyond that, everybody else was idle, was off today. Mariners did not play, and the A's did not play. So unfortunately, the Astros and the Angels both gain a game on the Rangers tonight. Hopefully the Rangers can take two of the next 3, I should say, 2 of the 3 in this series, and we can continue to build and get back into the first place hunt in the AL West. That would be very, very good to see. I think the Rangers right now have kind of been stuck in the 3 to 4 games back range. So right now, if we look at the standings, 4.5 games back. Astros are 7 games back, so 2.5 behind the Rangers. The A's are 5.5 games back of the Rangers, and we've got the Angels 7 games back of the Rangers, 11.5 games out of first place. So that's the AL West roundup for you. So right now, we are going to start winding things down, y'all. Let me check comments, make sure I did not miss anybody. Yep, I'm seeing some comments on Instagram here. I wish I could post them, but yes, very familiar tune for the Rangers. Solid pitching, weak run support. It's so true. It hurts, but it's true. They just have not given their pitchers enough run support this year. It's something that needs to get better. I know I've seen Bochy in post-game interviews be super frustrated about it. He knows that this offense needs to get going. I know he's fed up with the lack of offensive production. Boch, by the way, a scheduled day away from him from the ball club. Will Venables was able to step in. Thought that, look, how much does it really matter? Who knows? But Venables steps in and is able to come pretty close to a win, and probably his first major league coaching debut, whatever you want to call it. But no, I mean, at the same time, I know Boch is not satisfied with where the hitting's at. Look, I don't know what the fix is going to be for that. Getting Josh Young back is going to help. But yes, familiar song and dance. Absolutely. A few comments on YouTube here. Go Marlins. You know what? I actually don't mind the Marlins at all. My family, grandparents lived down in Florida for a long time. So I've got a little special affinity for the Marlins as well. But look, that being said, it was nice to take 2 out of 3 from them. Hopefully the Marlins can have some good seasons up ahead. It was nice and fun watching them win those World Series back in the day. Maybe the Marlins year is coming at some point. I would like to see them do well. I'm kind of tired of the same teams in the NL East, right? It's the Braves and the Phillies every year. Wouldn't mind seeing the Marlins. Really wouldn't. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and call it a night. Tomorrow we'll be at you live after the finish of Tuesday night's game, the second game in this series with the Tigers. Thank you so much for joining. And whether you're watching this live or watching it on replay, I'm grateful and appreciative for your support. please, if you know a Rangers fan, if you know a baseball fan, share this video with them or share the account or the channel with them. I would be greatly, greatly appreciative of that. And as we always say, God bless and go Rangers. Hope y'all have a great rest of the Monday night. Hope to see you sometime this week post game, hopefully after some Rangers wins.